And then I'd go and see another family and he'd be on, say, 120 grand a year. And he wouldn't have a clue where all his money's gone. His wife would.
They think of it a bit like going to a casino, putting money on a roulette wheel and, coming red or black, that they could win, they could lose.
What car can I upgrade to? Or, where can we go on holiday? We used to go to Spain, now we can go to Barbados.
Hi and welcome to Accelerating Your Wealth with your host, myself, Rebecca Robertson. I'm an independent financial advisor and wealth coach. I'm the director of Evolution Financial Planning, who is also our sponsor for today's show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share and review this episode. With your help, we'll reach more people who can benefit from the show. Quick one before we get back to it. If these conversations are landing for you, we've made something to help you go deeper. It's a short quiz. You answer a few questions and it tells you where to focus, then builds you a playlist of every relevant episode so you're not hunting through the whole back catalogue. Investing, divorce, business, there are 9 areas to land in. The link's below. Hi and welcome to Accelerating Your Wealth. I'm your host Rebecca Robertson and I'm joined today with Katie and Carol, and we're doing a summer reset. So we're doing 6 special episodes over the summer holidays and today is episode 2. Welcome Carol, welcome Katie. You did a bit of an intro in our first episode, so people can go back and hear a little bit more about your background and your history, but would you like to say hello and just like your job role?
Hello. I am Evolution's client manager and I am also a independent protection advisor.
Thank you. And Carol?
Hi, it's Carol Wright. I'm a independent financial advisor with Evolution Financial Planning and a money coach.
Marvellous. And so our sponsors are Evolution Financial Planning, and obviously I'm Rebecca and I'm the host. So if it's your first time listening, welcome. And today we're going to be talking about why women earn, save, but still struggle to build wealth. So where should we start? Many women earn well, they save regularly, work incredibly hard. Actually, I would say they've got so many plates, I don't know myself, and like Katie's like we've got so many plates we have to juggle, and they still feel like they're not getting ahead. They still feel like there is this big gap. So today we're unpacking the gap between earning money and building wealth. So let's see where we can start. So why does people that are earning good money, income, automatically translate into wealth? So why doesn't it translate? So if they're earning money, they're earning quite well, what happens?
It's quite a big decision,
that's a big
question.
Yeah,
there's lots of different angles there. I'd say one of the kind of main things we often see with people is they're earning good money, but their lifestyle has also expanded to kind of match that good money. So
and kids, right? They're
and
expensive.
Kids, So they've got kids, so they've moved to a big house. They've got running 2 cars,
holiday clubs, kids clubs, football.
So much pressure on that side. And I've been doing this 26 years, and I even remember doing protection years and years and years ago. This must be like 18, 19, 20 years ago. And I'd go and see clients do protection and they might be only earning 25, 30 grand a year. And then I'd go and see another family and he'd be on, say, 120 grand a year. And he wouldn't have a clue where all his money's gone. His wife would. It was actually one particular person, it was John Lewis. He just kept having a massive John Lewis bill, and all the money was spent every month. And then the guy that was earning a little bit less, obviously a lot less, like 25, 30 grand a year, all his money was gone. And so people do what you just described. They get a pay rise or they get a new job or they get a bonus at work. And automatically our psychology is, how do I spend that? What can I spend it on?
What car can I upgrade to? Or where can we go on holiday? We used to go to Spain, now we can go to Barbados because I'm earning more. And
But I think there's a lot of self-worth in that process.
I think there very much is with holidays. Actually, I'm kind of seeing that, talking to people at the school gates about where they're going on holidays, and there's a great kind of range of different holidays. But if you're not careful, you can feel like, oh, why? How come they're going? To America. They went to Japan not long ago. You kind of
it's
feel
so much pressure though, isn't it? Like that's the thing. As a mum, you want everything for your children. You also, you want the nice handbags. You want to keep up appearances. And as you earn more, those expectations become greater. And
So where does that psychology of comparing come from? Like, do you feel like
social media?
Do you think?
Yeah.
Instagram?
Yeah. I bet my mum didn't feel the pressure as much as we now do as parents.
It's funny because we probably did with the people that she spoke to day to day, but maybe now we kind of
expanded.
The circle
now.
of people that she hung with at the time were same as her. We were all from the same estate. We went to the same schools. Like, all the expectations were the same. But now social media pushes that pressure as a parent to do this, take them on holiday. They need to be in this club. They need to be in that club. You know, and I feel like, as a mother, you want the best for your children. So you end up, and certainly I do, spending way more on my son than I do on myself and my own kind of needs.
And the thing that gets me, I look on Instagram and like you can kind of see the influencers that are having a family holiday and they're all kind of dressed in like matching outfits.
Just put your phone away as well. Spend time with your kids.
The mother's always in like beige and cream and white, and they're all smiling and all having a happy time. Whereas compare that to your actual day-to-day on holiday.
What does it actually look like off camera, right? I mean, it's not that pretty.
The kids are kind of grumpy
they're
and
crying
hot
they've dropped their ice cream.
All down your white dress.
And everyone's sweating hot and they're like all grumpy. You're like, why did I just spend
$6,000? And the Wi-Fi is not as good as at home. The teenagers are
complaining. $6,000 on this holiday for them to be moaning because it hasn't got good Wi-Fi.
They can't play Roblox at the beach.
You're like, you just put the screen away. You're going to get sand in it.
And I think it's pressure. The pressure of like the other expectations of the kids at the school, the other mums at the school. You want to look like you're doing. So I think for a woman,
my dad didn't like. My dad was a single parent, and he didn't have any of that. Like, he used to take us on camping holidays to France, and that, like, it was either that or Scotland, and I preferred France because it was blimmin' hotter.
Yeah, we used to go on caravan holidays. I don't think we went abroad till I was 14, 15, whereas my son went away on his first abroad holiday when he was 4. You know, and
there is definitely that expectation, but I think there's also, like, I see it with my daughter who's 18. There's this whole, I think the next generation, they have this expectation of life. It's like a deserving kind of mentality. Like, they expect that. And I think there's somewhere in there that if you then can't provide yourself that, or you can't give it to your children, that then you've failed in some way. Like, I think there's some sort of psychology around providing that and doing that. I don't think anyone likes thinking, I can't afford that. I think that comes down to the crux of it.
I also don't think that's a good kind of sentence, a good saying to use in front of your children either, because I know personally I don't want my son to think we can't afford something. So I don't think, like, the psychology of saying to my son, you can't have that because we can't afford it, like that as a child must be quite damaging to hear, like, my mum and dad can't afford something.
Although I think it is important for children to kind of know the value of money a bit and kind of know that, you know, when you're working, you have to work for a certain amount of time to be able to afford things, and you know, you can't just click your fingers and go on an amazing holiday. You know, you can do that once you've been working hard and you've earned that money and saved that money. And
that's the education piece. Again, something I feel strongly about, and I've been discussing with Rebecca quite recently, is that people are not, the education isn't there from a young age about investing in money. And again, that then follows you through into adulthood. So women potentially don't know what investing looks like. And then that's when we come up with our last episode. We were talking around fear and feeling overwhelmed. So that's where a lot of that comes from, is that actually the education wasn't there from a young age.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're right about that sort of comparing and like the prioritisation of everybody else around you, looking after everybody else and considering what you're not looking necessarily at your finances. Oh, actually, I won't book that holiday because it's going to diminish all my savings. But I did a post on Facebook a while back, and I put on there about why do people prioritise holidays over pension? And it was so interesting, everybody's responses. So one of my best friends said, because she's lost her family member, a close family member, it's made her view life very differently. Life's too short. So, you know, I might not be here in 10 years' time, 20 years' time. And then a lot of people sort of saying, I work really hard, so I deserve it. I work really hard, so I want to have, like, you know, that to look forward to. You know, people living for their Benidorm holiday rather than making their life part of, you know, their holiday. So they maybe got jobs that they don't really like, or they're living for the weekend because they hate their life during the week.
Yeah, I do agree with that, though. I do agree that there needs to be an element of future planning, but actually you're living in the now as well. So I do agree there needs to be a balance. it's just finding that balance, right?
I think if you haven't got that influence, like a lot of people say to me, even one of the tech guys that does this podcast, he has been making different decisions on his finances
after listening.
Once he's been sitting in that little room over there, and I'm looking at Gracie now because I'll be asking her later what she's done differently since the last one she listened to. And you know, he's a 24-year-old guy, and he said when I was making this decision, I had like in my head, I went, "Don't tell me." I said, "Did you have my voice in your head going, what would Becky think?"
I have Rebecca's voice in my head. Every time I go to buy a coffee, I'm like, I hear Rebecca, "Do you need that?" "No, I don't. I've got coffee at home." Yeah.
But if you haven't got like a family member or someone that influences you around your finances in a positive way, then you're not going to have that kind of like, you know, it's like going bowling without the bumpers on the you know, you're going to keep chucking the ball in the gully, right? And you're not going to get great points. So I do think there's a little bit about like adjusting. And Carol, I don't know about you, but when I speak to clients, when we've got a financial plan in place and they know what they're spending their money on, like I've got a client recently where I've said, right, we're going to take this chunk of money and we're going to put it out of the way. And because she hasn't got that to fall back on, she's adjusting her spending because it's not there anymore.
I know Carol's got a client because I booked her in with you and we've discussed it, but she wants Carol to check in with her like on a regular basis and go through her bank statements like, well done, you didn't do this, you didn't do that.
Oh, really?
You've actually put money into pots for her and allocated her amounts that she's allowed to spend on certain things.
So that's on the money coaching side.
Yeah, very much.
She loves it, doesn't she?
Yeah, exactly. Because I think some women, you know, really do want that kind of help, really, because potentially they haven't got that with their upbringing or their family, and this particular lady, we kind of went through her spending and kind of looked, you know, item by item really what you're spending your money on, and then talked about, you know, what is necessary. You know, you've got no choice over your rent, your bills.
Do you like doing that? Is that
I know, it's great.
I bet you love that.
It's very good because you know that kind of stuff, you know, then, you know, the beginning of the month when you get paid, all of that money, you know, puts it aside, that's going to be going out, that's not your money to spend. And then you have a next kind of level of money that is the kind of potentially not necessary but kind of nice to have. And, you know, we were kind of looking through that, and you don't want to take that down to zero, you know, you kind of need to kind of live you know, a good life, so you know, but it's being kind of reasonable with what you think you should be spending on those kind of nice to haves. And then hopefully that then frees up a pot of money that, you know, you really, you know,
but you've even given her like a play allowance. So this is the money you have to play with. This is your play money for the month. And then
we typically say like 10%, like 10% of what you've got coming in. And then 50% is on essentials and non-essentials. If you can manage that in this day and age, that can be difficult.
But I think that's so important, because I think people are almost, again, we talked in the previous episode about kind of putting off thinking about their finances. And sometimes they are a bit fearful that if they speak to a money coach, that we will be saying, you can only spend your money on...
No, you can give as much support as they need. Some people, they don't need that, but this particular client, that's what she wanted.
But also I think having that money, that play money, is really important. You know, it is important to have that money, it's particularly if that's how, you know, you kind of like rewarding yourself for working hard.
And right, and I think we should all be able to reward ourselves. There's money that I spend each month that I could probably save, but actually I work hard, I want those. But I think what you should try and,
if you can, is to be a bit mindful about it, so that, you know, it is a reasonable amount of money per, you know, your lifestyle and your earnings. And then, you know, to be able to then have some money that you can then just put aside, forget about, save, invest, you know, for the longer term, and then, you know, hopefully you've got your spending under control, you've got the treat money, and then you are kind of squirreling money away almost that you're not seeing. And then
it's a bit of a, I liken it to like baking a cake, and you know what ingredients you need, but to understand what ingredients you need to know where you currently stand. So by doing what you've just described, you're able to understand, okay, well, I'm going to be, I know that I'm baking a carrot cake, and I know how many carrots I'm going to need and how much flour I'm going to need. And because if you don't actually know the ingredients, but at the same time, if you just chuck it all in a bowl in one go and you haven't allowed it to process in the right way, you've not layered it in the right process, and you're chucking eggs in the oven, so to speak, and you actually haven't put the eggs into the... I don't know how to bake a cake, so I'm making this up as I go along.
I can tell.
I know not to put eggs in an oven, but my nan taught me a very long time ago. I was brought up by my grandparents, but it's not. So I'm not a baker. Let's just say that. I did use a chainsaw.
Good job you're good at finances, right?
I did use a chainsaw at the weekend, though.
Yeah, that
I baked a birthday cake at the weekend. I should have brought in some slices for
You
it.
should have
Yeah,
done.
you should have done.
You're definitely a baker, Carol. I can see. I bet
no.
I do make your kids' birthday cakes
I do,
as well.
Yeah.
That's
I'm not very good at decorating, but I'm good at making the cakes. The cakes taste. It's all about the taste for me.
My friend does it, and she does these amazing decorations. I'd tell her they look great, but they don't.
Joey just gets a Colin the Caterpillar cake every year for his birthday and thinks himself lucky.
Poor child, I tell you. No, but that's the other thing. The expectation is he's going to get and he's happy.
But people are spending like 80, 90 quid on a birthday cake.
Don't even go there.
What's going on? It's a cake.
So, what do you say to women who feels that she feels like she already knows all this stuff? Like, so what if people feel like, well, I already know I should be saving, I already know I should be budgeting, I already know all of this, so that sort of they've skipped the confidence gap and they're like, well, I know all this stuff.
Yeah.
What should we be saying to them?
Well, why aren't you?
If you're somebody that is not sure what to do with their finances, maybe you're working and you're not sure what to do with the bonuses you've got at work, or maybe you started a business and you've got profits and you're not sure what you should be doing to enable you to A, pay yourself more, or B, potentially retire earlier. Maybe you're somebody that's thinking about, do I overpay on the mortgage? You've received some inheritance. You've got lots of questions around your finances and what to do next. Then check out Evolution Financial Planning, who are regulated independent financial advisors and financial planners that can help you make some of those big decisions in life.
What else is there? What else are we coming across? There's something that's stopping you doing it, so we need to work out what that is.
Yeah.
And how to get over that. So I know I should be doing it. Okay, so why aren't you? Is it that you feel you're not worthy of doing it? Is it that what is stopping you from doing it?
Well, there's research. There's research that suggests that there's this like financial planning gender gap, and how to close it says that women are less likely to have a financial plan and more likely to hold on to excess cash and avoid investing outside workplace pensions. And I'd agree with that. Like, we see that quite a lot. They often come to us with lots of pensions, loads of cash in the bank. And some of them are like, well, no, I'm happy with that.
Yes.
They're like, there isn't a confidence issue. They don't see the issue.
Yeah, I think that's where financial planning comes in, and can be really, really helpful for these women. I think we do cash flow planning with some of our clients, and I think that is so it can be quite life-changing for them, really, because you're plotting out their current assets and their liabilities. If they have a lot of cash, a lot of like premium bonds, a lot of very safe investments, which is brilliant to have these investments. But you can show women, this is what you have at the moment. When you retire, this is how much you'll have. 20 years later, this is how much you'll have. Yeah. If you kind of move some of that into slightly riskier but also more rewarding assets, potentially, stocks and shares, this is then what you will have at retirement.
And also utilising those tax-free allowances. If you've got it all sat in cash versus, putting into your pensions, putting into ISAs, stuff like that, utilising those tax-free allowances, making that money work a bit harder for you.
I had an example of someone the other day who's actually got quite a lot of cash, and she's not got hardly any of it invested. I think she's got like $6,000 in a pension, and she's going to have to go back to part-time work. But we worked out on the cash flow forecasting the difference between her leaving it in cash, how quickly it would run out, and then actually investing some of it. And we use very low assumptions on the returns, like you would with a regulated pension illustration, and it meant that the money would last an extra, I think it was like 5 or 6 years because it was invested. So that's the impact it can have. So what beliefs do women commonly hold about money, wealth, or success that hold them back? So if we've talked about this woman, it's like they're confident, but I sort of know what I'm doing, I'm quite happy with it. But let's just talk about that gap a little bit more, back to that confidence gap. What beliefs are they holding about money that could be stopping them? Oh, they're quiet.
That never happens.
I think some women, so definitely not all women, but some women can sometimes think that investing their money is akin to kind of gambling with their money. They think of it a bit like going to a casino, putting money on a roulette wheel, and coming red or black. That they could win, they could lose, and almost that they're the options. And I think they are therefore kind of very nervous of even going anywhere near investing, because they think of it as too risky, too much like gambling, and not part of this. And that's where I think, again, talking very generally, most men don't feel that way. You know, most men kind of, you know, see that stocks and shares can be more of a risk to take, but they, I think, perceive the return and reward a bit more clearly, whereas I think some women sometimes see the downside a bit more clearly, and so it's kind of,
so again, is it knowledge or is it confidence?
I think it's a bit of both.
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
I always think that it is more of a confidence, but actually when you start speaking to women, like obviously I do those initial calls with people, and it is just that I don't know where to start, I don't know, I don't understand, I've put all my money into this type of fund, and they've just put it all in the one fund, and like we spoke about in the previous episode, it's about, is your money invested right for you? Like your beliefs in investing, your risk profile may be completely different to mine.
Yeah.
So they spoke to their friend down the pub who's got all his money invested in equities, but actually you might not be that same kind of investor. So it is that education piece. Actually, stocks and shares doesn't mean putting all your money into equities. No. There are the safer kind of options out there as well.
There's different risk profiles for clients, and even clients who are, you know, higher up the scale, maybe not the top end of the scale, are still going to have their money's going to be invested in property, it's going to be in commodities, it's not going to be all directly on the stock market, and even if it was, it's still going to have a degree of the US, a degree of global, a degree of UK, it's not going to be all in the UK and all in Europe or all in the US. And that I think that education piece about understanding it, but it doesn't mean you need to be a trader like Carol used to work with back at JP Morgan, right?
Bank of America.
Bank of America, apologies, got the wrong company.
The wrong American.
I mean, they're a beast, and that's a whole other profession, right?
Yes, no, agree, and we're not suggesting that, and very much. You know, generally we're talking about very, you know, investing in a very diverse way, as you're saying, and like spreading your money around lots and lots of different asset classes and lots of different geographies, lots of different sectors, because that's how you kind of decrease the risk and kind of balance the risk and the reward. You know, you try and
it's the whole eggs in one basket scenario, isn't it? You don't put all your funds in one. And a lot of people, I mean, you can have some funds invested kind of more adventurous if you want to gamble a bit of it and see how that performs. And also a lot of things people say, I just don't know how to manage it, I don't have time to manage it. Well, if your portfolio is set up properly, there's minimal management, or, you know, it doesn't necessarily need managing at all if it's set up correctly. So a lot of people think that, you know, every month you have to log in and cash out of this and buy into that and that kind of thing.
If it's in like in a wrapper, or if it's in like a diverse managed portfolio, is what I would call it, it just ticks along. You know, you shouldn't be playing around with it.
And this is what people think.
And that's almost what we say to people is, don't look at it too much, because, you know, investments can be volatile, they can go up and they can go down, but in the past, over the longer term, they tend to go up. But what you do not want to be doing is like
logging in every day,
all the time. As soon as there's a decline, you know, getting worried, selling down, because, you know, again, there's kind of lots and lots of historical data to prove, you know, if you start selling when there's a downturn, you tend to miss the upturn. And kind of,
I think there's a popular misconception that I haven't got time to manage it. They think it's going to be a case of logging in and having to manage it rather than just
But even those clients that I've looked after for, like, we had a client this morning email us who didn't want ongoing, contacted us 2 years ago asking us questions, and I said, well, what do you need? You haven't got an ongoing service, but what do you need? She didn't email back. We obviously didn't chase her because she doesn't have an ongoing service. And she's just 2 years later just messaged this morning saying, can I have your ongoing service, please? Because,
oh, really?
Yeah, because, and I had another one where she didn't want ongoing service. It was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was an ethical portfolio.
Yeah.
It's massively not done that well because she hasn't got an ongoing service. So over the last 5 years, ethical has really, really changed. One of the funds has done really poorly. If she'd had an ongoing service, I would have changed that 4 years ago, and I would have noticed it.
Yeah.
And now I've made a change in the portfolio, and she should be okay for another couple of years. But I've said to her, you need to come back to us. You need to be looking at this. If you're not expecting us to look after it, you need to. That's ownership.
Yeah.
And I think there's a real, with women, there's this real. They deflect responsibility over to a partner, over to somebody else.
Yeah.
And even when they have started looking at their finances and we do get it all sorted, if they're not doing that, I talk about doing a pension birthday So pick a date in the year that's your pension birthday, and you have to celebrate your pension once a year, so that it's an actual date in the diary that you have.
But like go out for dinner and like,
bake a cake.
Bake a cake. Well, don't let Rebecca bake it.
Buy a colour caterpillar.
Yeah, absolutely. My pension statement and my Colin the caterpillar. Just.
Well, that's your award for looking at the pension statement.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that.
So as we wrap up this episode, episode 2 for our summer reset, why women earn and save but struggle to build wealth. Just finishing up, ladies, if someone wants to stop looking at the fine paper and start to genuinely build wealth, what do they need to change? What one habit do they need to do right now?
Yeah, I think it is looking at if you can manage to look at your spending, and then you do work out that you do have some money that you can kind of put away and kind of forget about. Start small, open up a stocks and shares ISA, put it in an index fund, just a little bit of money.
Diverse though, Carol.
Diverse,
hey?
very diverse, and see, kind of forget about it. Have a look in, maybe not on the birthday, maybe 6 months' time, and then a year's time. See what's happening. See if that, is that then hopefully will give you a bit more confidence around it, yeah,
and just don't invest money obviously that you can afford to not lose. Invest money that you're not worried about, or you come and speak to us, right?
Yes,
and
exactly.
That's when you get regulated, independent, bespoke, impartial financial advice. Katie, what would be your one thing?
I was going to be honest, say what you just said, like don't try and do it alone. We'll help you through that. Any knowledge gaps, confidence gaps will help you with that kind of diverse portfolio, so you're not just putting all your eggs in one basket and hoping for the best.
And we're quite lucky as a team. So we have a mortgage protection advisor, a mortgage advisor, we have a will writer, we have a money coach, we have a financial planner, we have an independent financial advisor. So we have a real range of teams. So it means that we can share information amongst ourselves. And for example, with Carol, you're a money coach, you're a financial planner, and you're a financial advisor. So it means that actually you don't always have to have like 20 different conversations with 20 different people.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies, for joining us today on this episode 2. If you're enjoying this episode today, then do subscribe and listen to next week's show. It's going to be dropped every Friday, which we're going to be talking about property, protection and power, the foundations of women's wealth. But if you're interested in finding out where you are with your finances, then do check out our financial wellbeing quiz, which is in the show notes. That asks you 12 questions, they're yes or no answers. It takes less than 2 minutes, and you'll be able to get a summary where you are with your finances today. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining us today at Accelerating Your Wealth with your host, myself, Rebecca Robertson. I hope you enjoyed the show. Do subscribe and let us know in the comments any of your thoughts.